This is resolution number 3213, and the presenter is Angela Williams. Ms. Angela.
Good morning, Commission and staff. Our Commission is asking for permission to pay the premium to Housing Authority Risk Protection Group, part of the A group, for our property insurance. And as you are aware, we are required by Thurs ensure that all of our property is insured at 100% value. Questions or comments here?
Can you call for a motion?
Support.
Any comments, questions? So you work for 100%. They said renewal premium rates up 25%?
Yes.
Which is obviously largely not entirely driven by loss history.
That is correct.
And I assume Sheridan was the big driver of that?
That was one of them. Must be that, as you recall, historical floods 2022.
Yeah.
So that's why we have this. According to our insurance liaison, that is correct. She says our loss history is an increase also in the building value as well, and an increase in premium, as well as the this is our loss ratio is 1,208.
Did we absorb, maybe Senator Lucas, this is a question for you, do those premium increases get pushed down into the project budgets? Do we absorb the overages at central? How does that show up in financials when we get such a dramatic premium increase?
It's between the various buildings that it affects. So if it affects, for example, Smith Homes, whatever, it wouldn't make that percentage and allocate it to Smith Homes and so forth. It depends what the coverage is, but like what buildings are being covered, which is pretty much all of our buildings, I believe. So it does go to all of them. Yes. The commercial, you mean 1301, 2211, and the commercial. So that would be the COCs. That's a hit for COCC, obviously.
Is there, do you need to maintain a separate policy? Is there any opportunity to work with the city on being able under their umbrella? I just hopefully we don't see another 25% increase again, but that's a lot of money. It's almost $400,000. So our projects do not have that, right? So I just is there any other option that we should consider here to get better buying? Or hopefully we don't have another Sheridan issue, but I don't know. I mean, our properties are not aging well, as we all know, hence our capital plan. But
I can speak to that. That was a question that was presented about 2 years ago for our actual health benefits insurance for our employees. David Brookhoff, the HR manager, did reach out to the city of Detroit, and that wasn't something that they could do or could assist us with. First, we're separate entities by statute. As far as the property insurance, as was indicated last month at the board meeting when Angela requested approval, currently we receive insurance through the HAI group. As you know, what allowed waivers so that we didn't have to do an RFP for those products, the property, the GL, the employment practices, and we also are members of that group. We received a dividend. I think last year the dividend was $150,000. But that being said, we did make a decision to prepare a scope of work for a broker, for an insurance broker, for our property, auto, GL, and employment practices. And the intent is to issue that late December, more likely early January. So we're procurement, and they assisted us with the scope. It's complete, but we want to make sure we get it out probably in the new year so we get additional interest or more interest in January. So that's where we are with our coverage. But we do understand that some of these increases, especially the 1208 increase, or the loss ratio from 2022 being at 1208, that's concerning. So that's our approach.
That's going to take a while, as you know, to rolling loss history, so it's going to take a while for that to fall off. It's been probably about 5 years or thereabouts. execute a real estate development agreement between the Detroit Housing Commission and Janasco Development Company for phases 1 and 2. This is on the vacant undeveloped parcel 1. For phases 1 and 2, development of new housing on vacant land at the villages of Parkside, currently known as Village 1, resolution number 3214. And the presenter is going to be Irene Tucker.
All right, good morning, commissioners and staff. So we're happy to bring this resolution to you to have the CEO enter into a development agreement. In the previous meetings, it was requested for a pre-development agreement, which to say that Janasco was the awarder and could we proceed with discussions. And those discussions have really evolved very well with partnerships with the city and all the departments, DC's planning, the departments of neighbors, to come up with, as you can see on page 35, the development of approximately 160 or up to 200 new units on the vacant part or site of Parkside, which we know as Parkside 1 and 3. Phases 1 and 2 will cost in the tune right now of exceed, if you can look on page 33 and 34, but they don't have all the costing. But right now we're roughly at $50 million. They want to do a combination of latex steels of 9% and 4%. And so as we work through our discussions, we know that within 1 year, the rest of the complex or the site, which is Parkside, we know it as 2 and 4, will be developed. Those details will not be in the first development agreement, but be in the agenda. So we're asking for approval to proceed on. We do know that Janasco is applying for the 9% LIHTC round for this December. And again, working closely like we did with Garden View under the leadership of Patrick and Angela Diggs Jackson, spearheading this, and it's going quite well.
I would say, and also the time is critical in some ways because according to the Mtg's website, unless they decide to change, there will be a round for LIHTC this December 1. Then there's one next December 1. There's not a spring round, and then they go on April round in 2025. And so this is the time to start getting the door right now for at least this first parcel, this first phase.
Good motion. Good call for motion. So moved. Any comments, questions? This all makes sense to me. These plans to become a thing. I just want to make sure that I understand. We got a long history of unfavorable development sitting in the November fire. So I'm reading this to say that this development agreement will last 1 year, and then you are going to renegotiate and have multiple development agreements based on the sort of phasing of the thing. Is that my understanding correctly?
We want to have a master agreement, and then we know directionally where we want to go for the first 2 phases, which is up to 200 units. We're thinking about 160. But then you have the rest of the complex, which we know is what's existing there for buildings, Parkside 2 and 4. What will happen to that? And those details have not been fixed out at this point.
So is the development agreement to encompass the entirety of the site today, or just a portion? Okay, that's not clear.
Yes.
Just the vacant land.
Yes.
Because he's going to apply for the 9% credits.
Yes.
So that's the thing. He's got 1 year.
Yes.
And does the development agreement specifically say that one of the benchmarks is 9% credit award, or is it just time?
It's time. So it's just time because he's hopeful that he will get the 9% credit award for phase 1. For phase 2, he's looking at 4%.
Right.
Which is
That's going to take longer.
Right.
Yeah. Easier to get the capital section to be harder.
Yes. But it's just abiding both parties' time to pursue the tax credits and all the paperwork that he's going to need from DHC and the city to apply on December 1st. And as time within 1 year, that's why we made sure specifically within 1 year, figure out what the rest of the complex will look like. I'm saying complex, but the site.
Second question. So we've got no responsibility for pre-development costs, but do we have any? So like he's going to need to, if he gets an award, he's going to have to get a pilot, right? So like there's some things he's got to do, entitlements of the city. Do we have any administrative obligation in the development agreement, even if it's not cash funded pre-development?
At this time, no. And those have been, so we define the roles and responsibilities. We've had meetings on that. Now we're having weekly meetings to define that. We've also have some details in regards to the split of the development fee. And again, brand recognition for DHC and providing support going to the city. And then we also have had some discussions about what the end legal structures will look like. And we want to have part ownership as well. So we're still in those discussion phases. instruction from the commission to look at your fees, to look at different vehicles to be real, because we do not want what happened previously to happen again with this site.
So at what point do some of the debt agreement come to us, if it does at all?
It should come, so we need the agreement signed by the 30th of November in order for them to proceed on with their application. So I would assume as soon as we can get a good working draft of the agreement, within the next week, we have another meeting scheduled on Monday. These meetings are a couple hours. It will get shared probably right away.
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about and coordinate and be thoughtful about it. So
They're rushing because of the December 1st too.
And that doesn't put anyone in a good place. So okay.
Just as a footnote, when we met with the city this week, the communication plan was so critical. And with working with the Department of Neighbors, they wanted to understand what the entire communication plan with the neighborhood, not only with the neighborhood, but the neighborhood and the fact that it's going to be impacted, not just the residents, but the surrounding neighbors. And so that being hashed out and coordinated with, so it's just a lot of parallel running streams because of trying to make it December 1st deadline, but also trying to make sure that all the teams, everybody impacted is brought along the journey.
The other not so much complicated, but timing issue is, while we know we need to get December 1, or they want to hit December 1 with this application, we don't want to get so far out, which is why the resident engagement is important to keep moving along. But there's still lots of opportunities for resident engagement. They've already started meeting with some of the elected resident reps at the site as well.
So this development agreement will be to give them what they need to get into this application, but not committing a bunch of DHC resources and anything along those lines towards this project. It'll just be the minimum necessary to get in there.
That's why the roles and responsibilities were very critical.
Okay.
And this is the document here. And we definitely can share what we have with the board right after this meeting.
Yeah, I think why you're doing it because this is sort of part of our redevelopment plan, and particularly in these early deals. I think I would want to see that development agreement and spend some time with it in advance. We will have time, assuming it's at 9% of work or something, other things we'll have to do, transportation, et cetera. But I think we're all saying the same thing. I'd like more detail, right? Like when that's available. Thank you. Any more comments, questions? And all in favor? Resolution 3 4.
Thank you.